Well, hello. I'm not on a camera. Well, I am on a camera, but I'm not on my usual camera because I just deleted all the video that I filmed tonight. So, you're getting this. But the real highlight of this video is the pen that I'm about to show you. And yes, because I accidentally erased my video, I get to make that joke, and it will make sense when you see the pen. So let's look at the highlight of this video. Alright, so this is the pen in question, at least its box. Let's see if I can fix the autofocus here. Alright, so that is the pen in question. Let's take a look. So we have the cardboard sleeve. Not too much useful on it. We got the glow set yellow here. And if you open it up, you get another box. How about that? I wonder what's inside this box. Hey, it's another box! Actually, we have... I guess that's a sticker. Okay, I have a couple pen pals who like stickers, so somebody's getting a Kaweco sticker. And we get some literature, history of the company, some instructions about every single pen they have, some cartridges. I normally wouldn't care, but this is pertinent, so we're going to take a look. Yeah. Not your typical fountain pen ink, and I'm also not 100% sure how I'm going to get them all back in there. Ha 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 ha. So, that sucked. Oh, shit. But we finally get down to a wrapper. And inside the wrapper, finally, we get to a pen. And if you're thinking the picture moved a bit there, it did. I had a horrible moment when I thought we weren't recording, but we were. So, we've got some Kaweco Sport branding, because yes, it's a Kaweco Sport. What else we have? Well, nothing. We have the finial. I'm going to have to lift it up a little to see the finial, so let's lift this puppy up. Okay, so we have the finial Kaweco stuff. Unscrew it. We've got some stuff. We have a brightly colored cap, brightly colored section, and a clear body. Now, I'll tell you my thought, and I'm thinking of this as a pen buyer rather than as a pen company. As a pen buyer, I'm thinking, what if we make the whole thing clear? Then Kaweco could sell a whole line of different color highlighter inks. Pink, yellow, green. But, maybe what's on their mind is, let's have a different color for every highlighter ink if we find out this is a go. Now, before I pop that cartridge in, I just want to point out the nib. And I can't quite read that, so I'm going to quick peek. So the nib here, you might notice, is a 1.9 millimeter stub nib, which is awesome for highlighting purposes, except they do sell a 2.3 millimeter stub nib. Why don't they use that in here? Don't know. But that's how it is. Will this pen work as an eyedropper? Don't know. Although Kaweco Sports do get eyedroppered from time to time. So, anyway, what we have here is a pen. Now, I put the cartridge in. Now we got to get the ink flowing down to the bottom. And from my experience, that can be a trick with a fountain pen. So I got my ink cloth out here. Woo! Alrighty, that didn't take long at all. Whee! Okay. Awesome possum. I didn't expect it to work that fast. So I usually do a nice writing sample with one of these, but I'm not going to do a full one. You'll see why here in a second. Because this is going to be awful. Because it's highlighter ink. So we've got a page here. I'm going to just write at the bottom. So we'll unscrew it. And we post it. And we get a decently long pen. Now, I respect what they are. I ink a Kaweco Sport up from time to time, but they're not a favorite of mine. But we're going to focus. I'm using the word squirrel here for a second, just to get size in my mind. But I'm actually going to write, over here. Yeah, we're going to lift that up a tiny bit because that's too close. That's why I checked it. Alrighty. So a little writing. Can you see that? I don't know. How about this? Oh, good God, it's not writing. Okay, so it's doing awesome. Well, oh right, no, it's not doing awesome. I lie. Over here, nothing. And we got flow again. I may have pressed a little too hard, but what I'm seeing right now is a distinct unwillingness to write. I'm not pressing hard now. Very disappointed. Back to the tissue we go. Off screen because I don't want to reset the camera. Okay, she's sort of flowing into the tissue, but not amazingly. Oh yeah, I'm looking between the nib tines. I see nothing there right now. Okay. What does this mean? We'll see. Okay, how are we doing now? Better. All right. So let's write over the word squirrel. God damn it. There we go. Now we're cooking. Oh my gosh. So I can highlight the word squirrel, but we got a problem. So this is an old review page. I'm finding that if I write over the word squirrel, which is written in Parker Quink washable blue, it's still legible, but not great. It smears for sure. What you can't see, let me drag the camera up a little. Hopefully some of this writing is showing. If I go too long, she runs out of ink. Alright, calligraphy negotiate. Let's try this out though. So I have a couple of samples here laying on the floor, so I gotta bend down and get them. So one of my samples is from an old video I did. Did a video a while back on planners. And since we're going to zoom in, so we have a new planner. This is almost black as the ink, and dear God, legible, but smeary. All right, so over here, I wrote on the same piece of paper in platinum carbon black. Um, that's supposed to be permanent ink. That's disappointing. All right, so we got some Sharpie. Ding, ding, ding. Chicken dinner, we have a winner. All right, ballpoint, for those of you who are into that kind of thing. I know some of you filthy animals use them. Apparently I am a filthy animal too, because I owned a ballpoint to do this. Pencil. Felt tip. Papermate something or other. Ew. And just to finish it up with some Omas black. Ew. Alright, so I hear you wondering, what else can I do with this? Well, from an upcoming video, this is typewriter. Pretty good. This is LaserJet from some kind of thing I got in the mail, so this is junk mail. Ooh, we didn't want to highlight the word moment. But I want you to notice, we'll do this again here, because this is a good point to bring up something I'm seeing. To highlight the whole word, it is taking more than one pass. Now, I'm wondering how much of my trouble is because I'm at this low angle, because for those of you who are American, I'm a little less than an inch above the paper. For those of you on a more rational measurement system, I'm, I don't know, 2 to 2.5 centimeters above the paper here. But let's see, off screen we'll go to more upright. Okay, no problem. So I think the being too low has been my problem here. But checking out these lines, it's still, I don't know, kind of thin where we started here. But check it out. Before I got distracted by that, we'll go to thing. I have to go over it at least twice to highlight the whole word. Now, what do you really need to do? I mean, that's clearly highlighted. Heck. That's highlighted. But, you know, what people expect for a highlighter, they expect to be able to highlight the whole thing. So we've got one last piece of paper here. This is from an article from the Dickinson Press, which is my local city, where they had a recall, and now they're going to do a special election on this recall with exactly one candidate running, and he is the incumbent that they tried to recall. So that only cost the city of Dickinson about $20,000. Yeah. I think it looks a little faded on this paper, but it does perfectly well. So that was the Kaweco Sport Highlighter. I have always been curious about highlighting fountain pens. I actually have lusted after the Pelikan highlighter at about $200. There's no way I was ever going to buy it, but I've always been curious about it and wanted to try it, and never did. Well, here now I bought this Kaweco, and it was significantly cheaper than that. And so one thing I'm realizing is, yeah, I'm glad I didn't buy the Pelikan. But a couple other things I'm realizing. I do highlight. It is kind of nice, you know, have a fountain pen to do it with. I also realized if I decide, forget this highlighting thing, I have a very broad nib I can use because the pen comes with a 1.9 millimeter stub nib. I did decide to purchase a 2.3 millimeter stub nib, but really, when you highlight something with it, do you really need to run the highlighter over the whole word, or is just making a stripe there good enough? You know, it's habitual because we tend to use these chisel tip highlighting markers, But we don't really need to highlight the whole height of each word because you're highlighting just to point things out. And I think it does very well at that purpose. Now, it's not a good highlighter for the written word, but tell me the highlighter that is, because I don't know what it is. But it's very good for the typed word. So that's what I use it for. Now, I tend to do a lot of my reading where I highlight not on paper because I do not write in books. If I'm going to write in a book, I use Post-it notes or little tabs or notes on cards or something. I do not write in the book. I don't highlight the book. I got enough books in college, because I was cheap, and I'd buy the used textbooks rather than the new ones. And some people were highlighter crazy, and they would highlight the heck out of their textbook. And I always hated that because that's not what I would have highlighted. And some people it's just like they got to highlight everything. And no, you pick out your gems and leave the rest alone. But anyway, I do highlight articles sometimes, but it's rare that I will print an article because I do most of that type of stuff with online versions. If I will read an article and I really feel like I need to mark it up, I have this utility where I can send it to my Remarkable Paper, I think it's called Remarkable Paper Pro tablet. And I can highlight and mark it up there. Like the Science Olympiad rules, because it's Science Olympiad season again, I have them on my tablet. I don't have paper copies, and I'm marking them up, and that's that. But they're not paper, and we're not using the new fountain pen. And that's the same thing with any article. I don't like to waste the paper just to read it once. If it's something I plan to archive and use over and over again, maybe it would make sense, but usually it's not what I'm going to do with an article I read online, so it's better just to leave it electronic, is my philosophy. But I have been working my way through the cartridge that came with the highlighter. It's slower than if it had been a regular fountain pen. It's not going nearly as fast. But I can't help but think that's natural. So I just wanted to get this review made. I'm curious to try some other inks in this. Now, they're going to be highlighter inks to start with. But I bought a bottle of Pelikan highlighter ink. I also, from my previous life, I guess, I had 2 bottles of Noodler's highlighting ink. One was called The Year of the Golden Pig, if I remember its name right, and had this interesting property in my Platinum Preppy fountain pens that if it sat too long in one of them, it would turn all rubbery and hard. Hasn't turned that way in the bottle. It would just do that in a pen. I had it in a brush pen for a while that I was using as a highlighter, and it turned all rubbery and so I'm a little leery of putting that in this Kaweco Sport. But I also have a bottle of some kind of Noodler's pink highlighter ink. I can't remember what it's called, but it's pink. It's opaque. And I don't know if Noodler's if Noodler's highlighter inks are fountain pen friendly or not. Guess we'll find out. I'd always used them with the Platinum Preppy with the felt tip on them. So, yeah, it'll be a little experiment. And who knows, maybe I'll become more of a highlighter. Not in books. But maybe it'd be handy to highlight when grading papers or something. I don't know. But anyway, as far as it goes, it's a good writing experience. You won't see me do a pocket test. I don't like the Kaweco Sport in my shirt pocket, which this doesn't have one. This one I didn't even bother getting a clip for it, and that's actually worked very well because it fits in my pocket. It literally rides in my pants pocket alongside my fountain pen because I don't have a pocket up here to put anything in today. And since it doesn't have a clip on it, I'm not worried about it scratching up my nice fountain pen at all. So that works. And I figure if I decide in the end I'm just not a fountain pen highlighty person, and the pen sits unused too much, well, I can just put a different ink in it. And I've got a stub nib that I can have a lot of fun with, so why not? So that's where I'm at with my highlighter, because I think it would be a fun pen that way. And I've noticed that I don't really have a lot of stub nibs other than my Pilot. Totally forgot what they're called. The Pilot calligraphy pens that have the really wide nib. Pilot Parallel, there it is. And could a Pilot Parallel be a fountain pen? Well, of course a highlighter? Well, of course it could. Why did I buy the Kaweco? I'm questioning myself. But anyway, scratch the itch, and we'll see how it goes. So, well, thank you for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.